Cast. The brotherhood, playing for the guy next to you, playing for the team.
What's up, Buckeye Nation? You're tuned in to the Buckeye Cast.
Buckeye Cast. Tradition of Ohio State, we take that serious.
These fellas were born and bred in the Buckeye State.
Buckeye Cast. The people of Ohio, we work every day to make them proud.
Visit us at thebuckeyecast.com and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the Buckeye Cast.
Buckeye Cast.
Now here's your host, Joe Warwick.
I'm proud to be part of this group. Go Bucks!
What is up? We are back and better than ever. You guys aren't going to believe this. We got a blast from the past. I got Jeff in here. Sean is MIA somewhere in Southeast Asia. Who knows? He could be in a prison somewhere, or he could be dead in a gutter in Tokyo. Who knows? So I got Jeff in here. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. We have not gotten any ransom notes, nor have we heard from Sean's family yet. So we think everything is A-OK.
Yeah, well, maybe they just haven't gotten the bad news yet. He's drowned in a bowl of ramen.
Bangkok has him. Who knows?
So she said. As always, folks, don't forget to visit the BuckeyeCast.com. We still have our BOGO code going, TBCSSBOGO. Jeff, have you experienced these fine threads?
I have. I love the T-shirts. I have a couple. The Best in America is my personal favorite. Had a guy ask me two games ago at the Northwestern game. We were out and asked me, he's like, "Hey, where'd you get your shirt?" I said, "Check the podcast, homie."
You show him the sleeve? It's right here.
That's what he saw. He said the Buckeye Cast. I'm like, "That's the podcast, man." I said, "Check out the website. It's all there, man."
Yeah.
It's nice. I got hooked up with the Central Florida Alumni Association, and turns out that their game day hangout is right in my neighborhood. So
perfect.
All worked out good.
Nice.
Shout out to Froggers in Altamont Springs.
Nice. So yeah, Florida Buckeye fans, don't be afraid to hit up the Froggers in Altamont. And as always, we're gonna pour a cold one and talk some shit. We're going to get into this Wisconsin victory. It's a dominating win. I like to title it as Deuces Run Wild in the Shoe. Seems apropos. Those deuces being Chase Young and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, Wisconsin got tired of seeing that number all day Saturday.
Yeah, the front and the back. Yeah, so Bucks roll 38-7. That was a street fight, as we expected. Wisconsin got their conditions they wanted. It was a rainy, shitty day, similar to Sparty games. Sparty wants that game where they can just plug away and
nullify our speed. Right?
Exactly, yeah. And really, it changes the play calling. Like we saw, Ryan Day basically didn't call a pass play in the entire first quarter.
He probably figured, if I don't need to, why try? And but the offense got everything else working, which made it an easier day for him. So they were able to establish the run game, which obviously if you're getting 2 yards to carry, and then you got to start forcing stuff in the air, and that's what I was concerned about going into the game. Obviously, having to put stress on Fields to make big throws in shitty conditions.
Right, and Ryan Day actually said after the game that was the hardest thing for him as an offensive play caller is to pull back and not be aggressive and throw the ball, to be more prudent and careful and, just be conservative really with his play calling in the first quarter while the rain was coming down heavy.
Yeah, sure. We kind of know his MO by now. He is very aggressive, which is what I'm sure most of Buckeye Nation loves about him. But he's smart too. Dude's so smart. He knew that he couldn't just, I want to be aggressive, but I can't hang my quarterback out to dry, and we can't risk getting in a hole early. Obviously, once he saw the defense a couple of series, he probably got a little more confident, saying, "Okay, well, we got them figured out on defense. we don't need to, try to protect the defense and play that kind of game. So, all overall, with the conditions as they were, I don't think they could have asked for a better result if the coaches were talking amongst themselves.
Sure. So let me throw some numbers at you on offense. 264 rushing. Wow.
Love that.
Against the number one defense in the country, allegedly. I think that was built on a house of shit teams. The USFs and the garbage teams they played up to that point. I'm not sure they exactly earned that moniker of best defense, but anyway, 264.
They did look good when Michigan was still hyped, though.
Right.
Still touted highly. They did put the business to Michigan, which at the time everybody thought, no, this defense is for real. We have since seen that Michigan may not be as potent of a ground attack as they originally were going into the season. That was an early game.
Right. So, yeah, J.K. went for 20 carries, 163, 2 touchdowns. That was an 8.2 yards per carry clip, dude. Wow.
Ugh.
Wow.
I like this. I like the fact that we have 100 yards rushing on top of his 160.
Right. Yeah, Master Teague actually outgained Jonathan Taylor. He went for 76, and he was the last nail in the coffin.
Jonathan Taylor's 2 lowest outputs of his career come against the Buckeye D. Both of them under 50 yards, I believe. I would be curious to see what our backup got the first time. It probably might have been Weber and J.K.
Probably.
I'd have to go back and look.
That was
at that
17.
stat.
So yeah, that was J.K.'s freshman year.
We could have very well, both of them could have very well outgained him that day too. Very, very impressive because that dude is a stud. I mean, there's no bullshit about him as a skill at running back.
J.K.
No, I'm sorry, Taylor.
Oh, Taylor.
So, he's the real deal. Probably the best running back in the class coming out. I'm sure he'll be. I would imagine he'd be rated the highest. So overall, outstanding by the defense.
Yeah. What's funny is the players after the game, the Buckeye players said they were teasing J.K. all week, saying Jonathan Taylor was the best running back in the country and this and that, just egging him on, fucking tweaking him.
Talking shit to your boy. You gotta get your boy fired up.
That's motivation, right?
Yeah, JK's probably that kind of dude that he needs that. He needs you to start fucking with him and start, getting on him. He probably, I'm sure he feeds off of it. He ran determined as hell. So it looked like he had something to prove in that game. Yeah,
so this is week 8. I do need to mention my bet winnings because he just covered them through 8 games, what Vegas said he would do in a season, and that was 1,100 rushing and 10.5 touchdowns combined rushing and receiving. He smashed both this week.
I think I remember you showing me your take. Before the season started.
Yeah.
Look what Vegas has him at. I'm taking over all day across the board. So props to you for seeing it.
It seemed like a layup. Vegas missed out on those. Maybe we'll delay the opening of a new casino by a couple minutes.
Seconds.
Yeah.
But you never know about injuries, which would have been if he would have had a hamstring problem like Weber had the other year, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And that's just going to stay with you all season. And then,
splitting carries would have held him back too if they were still in the same type of system where he was splitting with like a Teague or something like that. But we knew preseason that this was JK's season.
Yeah, for sure. And he's staying healthy, and it's going to continue to be. So
yeah, I'll let you know when I feel bad, Vegas.
Right.
So yeah, but just to finish off, JK, he was running hard. That stiff arm to Chris Orr, the linebacker, putting him in the ground on his back. Wow. That
old Rome excerpt.
Yeah.
Put me in the ground.
That
actually came into my head too.
Yeah. And he's just punishing DBs down the field. He refuses to go out of bounds on some of those long carries.
I love how he goes for contact. Like after 30 yards, he's like, "Fuck you! I'm going to finish this run." Bam.
Yep. He's not afraid of a safety or a corner. He's going to deliver a blow, and he wouldn't step out of bounds when he was right on the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. But yeah, rushing game was in full effect. Fields chipped in a little bit there with the rushing touchdown. He had some key rushes. Was not really happy about the punishment he took. 5 sacks, got blasted multiple times. He had that one sack where he rolled out right and then turned around and had a fucking linebacker right in his face and laid him out. He took that shot on the touchdown run to the lower back. That's really what dinged him up. And then they bring in fucking Chugs and they try and throw the ball. What about the balls on Ryan Day? Jesus, are you kidding?
So let the backup eat.
Well, yeah, or get eaten.
Right.
You could have taken a timeout and brought Justin back in.
I'm sure the Buckeyes knew, just like every fan, that Wisconsin, their best shot was to bring pressure, fluster the young quarterback. It's just whatever, poor conditions, toughest test yet. We got the defense that can stop them. Blah blah blah. Let's send pressure. He took some shots, but it didn't. It doesn't seem like it. He didn't seem hobbled or even rattled, really.
Yeah,
he made some mistakes, but it's nothing. He didn't look like he was too shook for the moment, at any time.
Yeah, he got up wincing.
He got his bell rung for sure, but overall, I'm sure this is the perfect time to take this week off.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the positives about this weird double bye kind of season is getting an extra week, especially after these physical games like the Michigan State game and then this Wisconsin game. Recovering and kind of getting ready for the stretch run.
Yeah. It messed me up. I hadn't looked that far ahead in the schedule. I'm like, wait a minute, they got another bye after Wisconsin? They just had one, but. And
then 2 more with Rutgers and Maryland back to back.
No, those are like half buys, like 0.5 each. But hey, Maryland, they scared the hell out of us last year, so they better not be just coasting through next week.
Right.
Yeah, the team hangs. What they hang on us last year? 40 something, right?
Didn't it get up in the 50s?
I wanted to say it was like 50-48 final, but it might have been in the 50s.
Yeah. Well, they would have.
Can't remember. But
they went for 2 to win the game.
Points. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have the scouting report on Maryland yet. If it's the same. I don't think it's the same offense. But they definitely. I'm sure the coaches are reminding them and showing them tape of last year.
Yeah, the defense. Big play all those guys were there last year. The defense should be well aware. They shouldn't need a motivational tactic this week, but next week, anyways. But anyways, I wanted to say that Fields really showed his toughness. Kid is not a small dude. He can take some shots. We just need to keep him healthy over these next couple weeks. Chris Olave, this kid, when you need a guy, he's become the go-to guy. KJ's kind of taken a back seat, in my opinion. Olave comes up with 7 catches, leads the team, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. That first TD in the end of the first half, in that little 2-minute drill, really busted the game wide open because it made it a 2-score game, right?
Yeah, we needed to get. That was huge to get to that point to then continue with our game plan, and then we knew it would grow from there. But it's like getting that. Got to get out to that lead before we can really attack and play what we want. They missed the long one to KJ. He had a couple steps on the guy, but you can attribute that to the rain, the wind. I don't remember if they're going into the wind or crosswind or whatever. But they just missed him. He would have been a nice long touchdown catch for him. But it does seem like when Olave is on the field, he's looked at more than KJ is.
Maybe they're roommates.
But they're seeing. I'm sure they're seeing the production, during the week in practice too. And they're like, when he's in the game, call some plays for that position because he's making plays. So
maybe they're roommates.
I love KJ.
Don't you love it when they used to say Austin Mack and Dwayne Haskins had this great rapport because they're roommates, and actually KJ was the leading receiver last year. Right. Like it wasn't even close.
And Matt can't see the goddamn field. He can't stay healthy.
That's the drawback, and I thought that might hurt us, but fortunately it didn't.
Yeah, that receiving room's that receiving room. Then the guys before them, they set a standard. That room is so strong that one guy's injured. Like we haven't lost a beat. Ben Victor's hit and miss, but all those guys are stepping up.
Right. Yeah. I was amazed by the mismatches that Ryan Day is able to find with his play calling. You saw a couple times where you had a linebacker trying to cover a receiver. There was a PI in the end zone. A linebacker, it might have been Orr again, I don't remember, trying to cover a receiver like Garrett Wilson. It's like, that is not going to happen.
Face guard, and he's trying to tackle him. He's like, he wants to take him to the ground because he's,
screwed. It's 6.
And you can tell, like, the whole offense knows, like, I can't get the ball to him fast enough. Like, this is what we want. This is what we want. And they almost try to rush the play to the guy.
Exactly. I'm amazed by Ryan Day's schemes and his play calling and how he gets these mismatches, and seemingly sometimes wide receivers are just roaming free behind the defense. Like that Olave first touchdown. It looked a lot like the one he had against Northwestern. Yeah, it looks like he's running a crossing route. He turns it into a post, and the corner's like 5 yards behind him.
Yeah, very creative. Day's he's gonna continue to catch a lot of eyes. NFL, and obviously, no other. I mean, there's no other college program that's a lateral or even obviously a step up. But he has NFL ties. I'm sure there might be some teams calling Gene Smith this offseason, if not sooner.
Yeah, guys like Bobby Carpenter and James Laurinaitis. These guys are linebackers that played multiple years in the NFL. Laurinaitis played 8 at middle linebacker, and they're saying
high level. In the
right.
Too.
And they're saying, both of these guys are saying, you don't see this in college football. This is like advanced pro stuff, with the schemes and the route combinations. So, not to mention the running game. I mean, you can't even compare pro and college to the run and the read option so much, because the O-line really is the one that is dominating up front to get that run game going.
Yeah, your back's at 8.2 yards per clip against the number 1 run defense in the nation.
Right.
Opens up the pass game a little.
Yeah. Especially in that second half, that O-line really, really was making some big holes. And that's what JK fed.
Yeah, Wisconsin kept fighting, but you start, the writing was on the wall real quick towards second quarter, halfway through. Like, we just need to get the fuck out of here. It's raining. This sucks, man. You think it almost, we're getting beat on. We're wet. We're cold. This sucks.
So Buckeyes go for 431 total offense against the best D in the country. Third down, they go for 9 of 14 versus the best third down defense in the country. Second half,
Awesome.
Check out this drive chart. Second half, obviously we got the possession first. Went punt, TD, 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 victory formation.
Thanks for coming.
Bang, bang, bang.
Please drive safe.
That is only 6 possessions in the second half, and that was your ball game, folks. Wow. We got to talk about Garrett Wilson at punt returner. I mean, I know this has always been a pro Run DMC podcast, but I think we got a new girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm no stranger to that, but he needs to have the ball in his hand. I mean, that dude is electric. If it's returning punts, get the ball in his hand more.
He hasn't shown any signs of being a weakness back there, right?
Yeah, we need a weapon back there. Not, we haven't had a weapon at punt returner I can remember really since Teddy Ginn. Whereas, where you're like, oh shit, he could break one anytime. It just, we need to give him one crease. We have a bunch of guys that have been good hands, kind of Jalen Marshall was great, but scared the shit out of us with his hands sometimes and decision making.
What about the Ray Small years?
Yeah, when I'm banging my head on the glass, don't pick it up on the bounce, let it go, or catch it in the air.
Or the Dontre Wilson years, where he's getting shoestringed after 5 yards.
All sizzle, no steak, man.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this has become a pro Garrett Wilson for punt returner podcast, and obviously his wide receiver game is off the charts.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to be able to draw up a lot more looks for him in the passing game than there already are in the general flow of the offense. But he needs the ball in his hand. I mean, we need to get him the ball in his hand. So if it's punt returning, get him at least a couple more touches a game. A handful in some cases. Maryland Rutgers, a dozen. I don't know how many times they might have the ball, but
he'll see a lot more action.
Yeah, what's a couples 2 or a fuse 2, a couples 3, 5 or more is Rutgers.
Right. Negatives on the offensive side, though, I need to kind of bang on Thayer Munford. He had a rough half, at least maybe a game. Maybe he still has.
Is he healthy?
I can't say that. I think he still has a lingering injury issue. They took him off of the game time decision, and I think that was a bad decision because maybe they were just trying to not show their weakness, to the other team. But he's obviously struggling over there. He allowed a ton of pressure on Fields in the pass game, and he is not himself.
Yeah, he didn't look like it. And you gotta say, well, it is. They do have a good defense, whether or not they're number one in the country. So you knew they were going to try to bring pressure, which puts stress on the line. But there was some one-on-one matchups that he just was getting beat. Speed rush to the outside, especially. So the thing is, laterally he's not moving the way that we've seen him before.
Yeah,
but
the Buckeyes
he could have been rusty, getting back into it.
Right.
That's another reason this bye week is so crucial. Some of those guys that had lingering issues, get them healthy, and then you might only have to play them a half, hopefully, against Maryland. Petit Frere got a lot of playing time, so maybe he can help spell him because they don't want to look ahead, but Ryan Day sees the finish line. He knows. He health wise, and plus, Mick, they're gonna be smart with those guys.
During the bye week and the game or the week before the Northwestern game, they actually split the staff in half, and half the staff focused on Wisconsin pregame before the Northwestern game, and that's typical. That's not out of the ordinary. This is something Zach Smith talked about before that Northwestern game. He said, we would always, when we have a tough opponent, but a weak one before, we would split the staff, and half the staff, you're still responsible for your position groups, obviously, for the game leading up, but you are, for half the week at least, game planning for that opponent 2 weeks off. A lot of people don't know that, and maybe that's sometimes how you get caught looking ahead, and it comes back to bite you, or you end
that
up
would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you end up in a close game that you shouldn't, maybe.
Wisconsin, Illinois,
because they are literally looking ahead.
Well, yeah, they maybe half of Wisconsin staff was working on Ohio State, and something Illinois didn't look like the worst team, north of the Mason-Dixon, but they are, and Wisconsin looked like it looked. It's just plain to see. You're going to Columbus next week. Fucking what is Champaign? Let's fucking go up there and handle business. Oh shit, these guys actually aren't going to roll over for us. Now we're fucked.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I'm sure I'm sure it's a common practice, like you said, amongst big programs. But fuck, you got to have the horses that can they can still play.
Next thing you know, maybe they ass in a war.
Right.
So, yeah. Just to finish off this one side of the ball, I got special teams. I got to go off on the bottle flipper, Drew Chrisman. Get the fucking ball off, dude. You can't be taking 3, 4, 5, and 6 steps back there to get your punt off. Okay, it should be like 1 step and go. Got the block punt there in the third quarter early that kind of flipped the field and pretty much set up that touchdown.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're looking at a shutout.
Yes. Yeah, it's not normal. I don't know. But I don't remember going back, and I didn't go back and look at it to see like really where the breakdown was, or why he took. It seemed like a longer time to release the ball, but
he takes a lot of steps. He takes at least 3 steps typically, and the snap was a little bit to his right, which is where the pressure came from, and whoever the up back was that was supposed to get that guy just got a hand on him, and it wasn't enough to push him, into a safe distance. So,
right.
Yeah, Chrisman can't be a dancing, singing Sprite back there. He's got to fucking get the ball off.
Yeah, we don't need you fooling us with trickery.
Exactly.
Just kick the ball.
Right. You don't need to be flipping bottles and all that silly shit. Let's focus on.
I wasn't expecting a breakup clip in there, but nice. Way to crowbar that in there.
Tried.
We'll make this real uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, that's what the show's all about. So yeah,
I'm sure that's addressed. I'm sure the fucking special teams guys went off, having a breakdown like that.
Right.
Because that stuff you can't do in a big game like that.
No. Typically, if you get a punt block, you're losing like 90% of the time.
Right. What's Urban's record when he does block a punt?
Probably undefeated.
It's like 900, I think.
Yeah.
Luckily we outperformed them considerably in every other facet of the game. So, but yeah, that's why I was really impressed with the defense, because we gave them the position on that drive. So, they didn't move the ball down the field. So I know you're going to get the defense.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to finish off on the offense is my frustration with the wide receivers, especially in the first half with their fucking gloves. Ben Vick ran a wrong route on one play. He did have a drop. KJ had a drop. Olave kind of had to go up for one, so I won't give him the drop on that one. But like JK was not wearing gloves, maybe everybody else should have followed suit.
Right, I noticed that, and the way those gloves are, those new gloves, they're great, but they're with water. It's slick.
They're not the old Newman gloves.
No, which actually were better in those conditions. But I also saw some NFL guys though. Yesterday, Sunday, going without gloves and laying a ball on the turf. So. Because of the rain, same conditions as they were dealing with Saturday. J.K. looked the strong. Didn't look like he struggled at all with ball safety, but it was, I don't know. Some people wear them and can catch the ball. Some people wear them and can't.
I never struggled with ball safety. I'll tell you that. Anyway, on to the defense. Buckeyes only gave up 191 yards. They came out in a 4-4-3 for a large part of the game. Obviously, when you're going against a Wisconsin, you don't need a lot of DBs in that game, right?
No. Wisconsin looks like they've been the same for the past 20 years.
At least.
They got a monstrous offensive line and a really good running back, and the quarterback's much, much lower level.
Right. So check out
this guy. This guy's got a little more talent than most of them they've had. But yeah, Wisconsin's going to run the ball. They're not even trying to hide that. They're coming at you.
Check out this drive chart. All right, first half, 5 punts. Third quarter, They scored the touchdown on their first drive to make it 10-7, and you're like, okay, this is a ball game now. Then they go punt, fumble, punt, ball game.
You probably could have saved some ink and just wrote Chase Young.
Right.
and then Chase made plays, and the game was over.
Right. They held Taylor to 52 yards, jerk cone, 108 passing, and that garbage TD pass in the third quarter where he had two receivers in the same vicinity, and Okudah said he thought somebody ran the wrong route, and he was just waiting to make the catch, and somebody jumped in front of him. So, anyway, credit back to the special teams and the punt block on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Like we mentioned, but yeah, that drive chart's pretty indicative of the day for the Badgers.
Yeah, you can read the drive charts and just kind of know how the game went.
Yeah,
like all right, field conditions shitty, okay, and Buckeyes exploded. Wisconsin, no answer.
Right. So Chase, we gotta talk about him, even though everybody else in the country has already done it. 4 sacks, 5 TFLs, 6 tackles, 2 forced fumbles. Is it just me, or was that Coach Paul Chryst an arrogant ass to try and think he could block Chase with one dude all day?
I think he was hoping.
Well, hope in one hand.
Yeah, see which one fills up first.
Yeah.
I don't know how much arrogance it was, but I think he knew he's great, but they got a bunch of players. We got to try all kinds of shit to because I think he knew it was an uphill battle playing against our defense with his offense, and you see, I mean, everybody in the country now sees. Well, we're not going to use one guy. That doesn't work. It didn't work for Wisconsin. It's not working for anyone else. So, his stats might level off a little bit
against Rutgers and Maryland.
They might just go unbalanced line and put 2 fucking tackles over there on it. But then he moves around so much. You're just gonna be chasing there's gonna be a running back in the backfield or a tight end that kind of moves with Chase Young, kind of like on defense when the guy goes in motion and the guy follows him when it's man to man. I think when Chase starts moving around the line, there's gonna be guys on the offense just following him from space to space, just to make sure they got the numbers, because he made it very clear to the nation. You fuckers are crazy if you think one guy's stopping me, because I will eat him and the quarterback for lunch.
And how do you line up a tight end over him? I mean, are you kidding me?
That tight end saying the same thing. He's like, "Fuck, coach, what are we doing here?"
Right. So his snap to sack timing was 1.8 seconds, and that includes getting around a guy in the middle.
A guy that averages their offensive line probably averages 6'4", 320.
At least, yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing it's right around there.
That's probably their average.
Yeah, right. And he just bends around them. We've known it. I mean, we saw it when he was coming out of high school. We're like, this dude's gonna be a monster if he stays healthy. And we've been, us and most fans that follow the program know what he's gonna be doing. But it seems like now that it's hit the national media, like, oh, this guy's out of nowhere. Nobody, No, he's been a monster. That dude, he just vaulted himself into the Heisman race with that game.
Yeah, well, it helps when you're on the Fox, the big Fox coverage, and you got Gus and Joel Klatt there, and then you got ESPN. Herb Street did that sit down on game day. It's kind of a mini campaign.
Sure.
Ohio State doesn't really do official campaigns anymore. Yeah, we're starting to see a groundswell of support for Chase. He'll definitely get invited to New York. I doubt he's going to win it. He just doesn't do... If they put him in at tight end maybe and got him some touchdowns, that would help. But Ryan Day said today in his press conference that he's not even considering that. Nor should.
Right. No, yeah, we don't need to placate a fucking Heisman campaign with changing offense around, because that shit like that can go a couple different ways.
It'll fuck up a locker room, right?
Yeah, I mean we play right now. We play 4 tight ends. I mean, I see all 4 of them. Our top 4: Houseman, Berry,
Farrell, and
Rucker.
Yeah,
they all
like
we
need
all play
another
a lot.
tight end.
Now you're gonna say, oh hey, in red zone, all 4 of you are sitting. We're gonna go with Chase. We're gonna run some gimmicks. I'd be like, what the fuck? He's not getting enough shine on defense. You never know what how that could play in the locker room.
I could see that.
As a decoy, I wouldn't mind just throw him out there for some weird shit. But as part of your game plan per week or something, but not to try to focus him or get him touches with the ball. We don't need to try that corny shit. To me that's just kind of you're trying to placate a player to hype him up for an award, and that doesn't fit Ryan Day's MO or really how the program is set up. It's brotherhood. It's not. Well, we're going to get you an award.
Exactly.
I don't like guys winning the Heisman, because you throw that bullshit in between the bowl game, and how many Heisman quarterbacks struggle in the bowl game because they're practicing half the time because they're traveling around doing shit.
Exactly. Just to kind of finish up the defensive side here, I gotta talk about Arnett. Led the team in tackles. He was just throwing his body around everywhere.
No shit.
Everywhere I saw somebody flying, it was a number 3 on defense. And Justin Hilliard, talk about a fucking guy that has really persevered and been through 5 years of just injuries and hell and not being able to play. I mean, gets in there and makes some fucking plays on that 3rd down, tackling Jonathan Taylor in the backfield for a huge loss. He was huge in that 4-4-3 defense.
Sure, it seems like an ideal spot for him. My wife even said, "I don't recognize him." I said, "Well, shit, he's been around forever. He just can't make the field."
Yeah, he's been a special teamer.
He said injury after injury after injury, and new guys keep coming up ahead of him and passing him. I said, this kid was a 5-star top linebacker, top 5 in the country coming out of high school. Torn pectoral or torn bicep one year, blew his knee out one year, I think.
2 biceps.
2. That's okay. That was the injury. Yeah, he had. Oh my god.
Actually, they may try getting a 6th year from the NCAA. Somebody asked Ryan Day about that today. And he said he hasn't talked about that to Justin, and if that's what he wants to do, then obviously they'll apply for it. But so maybe that's out there because of all the injury loss.
Imagine his leadership next year.
Oh yeah. He could be a starter possibly, but we got to touch on the Buckeyes trolling the Badgers in the 4th quarter, playing jump around. Was that fucking awesome or what, man? Yeah, that was good.
Give you a little piece of home during this ass whipping.
Right. Once again, Buckeyes take another team into deep waters and finish them off. Like we talked about, this is a key bye week as far as recovery and getting ready for these last 4 games.
For sure. I was gonna say, if you didn't mention Damon Arnett first when you talked about defensive standouts, I was going to. The first player that outside of Chase Young, Damon Arnett stood out immensely. I mean, that dude has made such huge strides, I think, from last season. But it could just be like a lot of the guys. It seems like a product of the defense. He just seems like he's able to make more plays now because it could just be as simple as scheme. He's being freed up or being allowed to see everything more. I don't know, like maybe it's just the zone versus the man where you're seeing more of the plays and you can react better and come up and help on and run support and stuff. So But that dude, yeah, he's in all season really. He's not penciling in for a PI every game. He'll still get them, but it's not that you're just waiting. Well, they're going to try Arnett deep, and he's going to tackle the guy. It's coming.
So yeah, let's accelerate through these last few topics. Big Ten. I'll say it again. I said it before. Michigan is back. Right?
Yeah.
Quick take on Michigan.
Yeah, fucking Notre Dame. Give me a break. They showed up. Not
They
wanting to
quit.
be there.
They quit early, and they just laid down and let Michigan run all over them. Right? I mean, I'm not sure that was Michigan being a great team.
It didn't look like there was much effort from Notre Dame, much resistance at all, and they looked miserable. Like it was. I mean, those conditions are shitty. I mean, a couple things go wrong that can turn on you, I guess. But everybody's playing in it, though. You know, it's not like the other team's getting sunshine. But
yeah. So Sparty, you think the end is near for D'Antonio?
He's kind of dude that I'm the captain of the ship. I'll go down with the ship. They might not let him. I don't think he'll ever resign. Like, I don't think he would ever give up. He'd probably say, "You have to fire me out. You have to carry me out of this place." You know, he might. He just seems like that kind of dude. But I think it needs to be looked at. I mean, if you want to try to stay with the three other teams in your division, you know, Penn State and Ohio State they're moving further. The gap is widening.
Exactly.
If they want to try to stay, I think they might need to look at getting new blood. And I don't know, you know, all those problems they had too for the last year or two. You know, the guys getting in trouble. You don't know how much of that is, you know, if that leash is getting a little tighter. You know, if they've been on him behind the scenes, like, you better straighten this up. You got to get this shit in line.
He's not getting younger.
No, and he's been there a while. I think they need to look at, you know, refacing the program.
He broke the record for the most wins by a coach at Michigan State. So I heard.
Congratulations, man! What the fuck does that mean?
Well,
really, I mean,
right. I heard before the season that there was talk these were from national reporters that he'll probably break the record and then think about retiring. So, yeah, let's see. What about Penn State? What do you think of them? Think they give us a real challenge coming to Columbus?
They're good. They're good. They got a lot of guys that we tried to get. I know that.
On defense, yeah.
I see
and a couple running backs.
Okay. They're running back. I know Noah Kane was supposed to be a Buckeye.
And Slade.
Yeah. So, the talent they have, they don't have the talent. Like, Ohio State's talent is two other teams in the country's talent, and it's those three and then everybody else. I don't care what anybody says. Don't give me that. Follow recruiting. You'll know what the fuck I'm talking about. Alabama, Clemson have talent like Ohio State has talent. The rest of the teams some are close. There's a big gap between most of them. Penn State's good. I'm glad we got them at home. A night game in Happy Valley, that fucking whiteout bullshit. That's tough on anybody, regardless of how much better you may be. And they can run the ball. They can make plays. I mean, we can't have a game where we're making a bunch of errors, a bunch of mental errors, and still be able to overcome it. I don't think.
Well, KJ Hamler is the only person on that team that scares me. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's dynamic. I mean, we have three real good corners that I'll match up against anyone. I'd like to see him against Clemson's receivers really fucking bad. I really do. But Penn State. I think Penn State's Penn State at home is going to be as big of a test as Michigan at their fucking shithole, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. So give me your Heisman top three.
Fuck Tua. All right. Let me say that first of all.
That's a good start.
Okay. as far as best players in the country, I think, because I don't just look at the best quarterback on the best team. Chase Young is in there. As far as quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, he looks.
He's not even on the board in Vegas.
No, I mean, I don't know. You got to say Joe Burrow, just because of what the turnaround and the huge drastic change from last year's offense and what he's able to do right now.
You think Hurts played his way out? He had a good game, even though
he's gonna have a chance to come back. Yeah, he did put up good numbers, but that loss is a shitty loss.
He hasn't really had a Heisman moment, quote unquote.
Correct. I think he'll have a chance though because of they still got a few big games. Fucking Oklahoma Baylor is going to be a big game. You believe that? When's the last time that was? 2013.
But still, in that Big 12 championship game, is that going to be a Heisman moment for him? No matter who they play, Texas, Baylor, whatever.
Right. I mean, how
K-State.
Right. How yeah, you're right. How big of a matchup will it actually be, or will it just be a fucking 3-loss Texas team, that they got to play again, and where it's not really going to be a close matchup.
So you got your top 3 is Joe D.
I'd say Joe Burrow, Chase Young, and you got to kind of like what Justin Fields is doing. I mean, as far as pure numbers, and Penn State doesn't have that one. I mean, Handler, but he doesn't have numbers as a receiver. Receiver's not getting to New York. And it's not like the year when they had Saquon and what the fuck's his name at quarterback, where they're kind of both putting up big numbers. So you hate to it's kind of three Buckeyes, one former, 2 current, as the Heisman favorites, and obviously Chase Young and Fields would take votes away from each other. But there's not another individual standing out, I don't think, that I see, and I don't watch every college football game, but I watch the top 10 consistently. Tua, I guess he'll be there just because he's the fucking darling. These teams that are tanking for Tua in the NFL, I don't know if he's the best quarterback coming out. I don't know if he'll be a great NFL quarterback.
He gets dinged up
a lot. So I guess for the sake of not having 2 Buckeyes to belabor it, I would say Chase, Burrow, and Tua. But he wouldn't be in my top 3, but he seems to be in everybody else's.
I'll give you my top 3. I'm going Chase, Burrow, and J.K. Even though J.K. is not in the 5 on the board. The Vegas favorites right now are Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Fields, and then way down there is Chase Young. So at least I think Chase will get to New York. He definitely doesn't have a shot at it, realistically, unless he has 4 sack games each.
Right. We have our last 2 games of the season, our 2 biggest, where that'll give our guys a big opportunities. Tua and Burrow's biggest game is next week. So, I mean, obviously, I think one of them will take a step back. One of them will probably vault forward, but that could be a game too that's like 13-6, where nobody really looks good because 2 defenses got 20 fucking pros on them. So that might leave the door open for other people to jump ahead. If Fields goes for 4 touchdowns and 300 total yards or something against Penn State, is that night game in the shoe? We playing them at night?
Who, Penn State?
Yeah,
that's not official yet. We don't know.
They fucking better be.
I would be surprised.
We're dealing with Memphis and Memphis and fucking SMU this weekend. We have there's no primetime games. So, anyways, and there would just be a bigger moment, for Fields if he has a big game in a primetime game that could move him ahead of one of the two that struggle or lose this weekend. That's going to be a hell of a game, though. But I think one of them will take a step back after that game.
All right. Well, that was a good show, folks. Jeff, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
No problem, man.
Welcome back anytime.
I could get on. Yeah. Thank you.
Folks, as always, hit thebuckeyecast.com. Use the promo code. Get that BOGO. And as always, we appreciate you joining the show. Jeff, again, thank you so much for filling in for Sean. I'll reach out to his family and see if he's still alive and not in a Vietnamese prison.
Konnichiwa, Sean. We love you.
All right. Have a good night.
See you.
Later.